Welcome back to the space of stillness. Before we begin our journey into the world of where the tear blooms, I want you to give yourself a few truly precious moments. Do not hurry. Let your body find the softest point of support on your familiar bed. Everything outside may be in motion, but here, in this room, time seems to slow down, melting away like warm candle wax. The true beauty of the soul sometimes lies not in flawless perfection, but in how we embrace the scratches of time with a calm heart. Take a deep breath. Feel the cool air filling your chest and exhale very slowly, releasing all the burdens of the long day. You are safe. You are being cradled. Before we sink deeper into relaxation, if you enjoy these moments of peace, please subscribe to the channel, leave a gentle comment, or share the video so we can drift into restful sleep together every night. Now, notice your feet. Feel the gentle contact between your heels and the soft bed sheets. Imagine a warm, tender wave like the early morning sun, beginning to spread from your toes, creeping through the soles of your feet, then slowly rising to your ankles. This wave brings relief, dissolving all the stiffness after a long day of movement. You don't need to go anywhere else. You are home in the fortress of peace. The warmth continues its journey, slowly moving up your calves, knees, and thighs. Every muscle area it passes through becomes soft, loose, like dangling silk ribbons. Feel the weight of your body sinking down, deeper and deeper into the mattress. You no longer need to strain to hold on to anything. Let the ground support you, enveloping you in absolute stability and tolerance. This feeling is so pleasant, like you are floating on a placid lake on a windless night. Next, turn your attention to your abdomen and chest. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Inhale, the belly expands naturally. Exhale, the belly sinks, releasing all anxieties, all lingering thoughts. Let your breath find its own rhythm, a slow, steady rhythm, like the sound of rustling waves from afar. There is no rush. The world outside, with its numbers, projects, and worries, has receded behind the door. Here, there is only you and the gentle breath of your own being. Now, let the relaxation spread to your shoulders, the shoulders that have carried so many responsibilities throughout this day. Relax them completely. Feel the shoulders drop, becoming light. The warmth slowly spreads down both arms, through the elbows, to the very tips of your fingers. You may feel a slight tingling, a sign of life operating in its most peaceful way. Your hands are now resting, no need to grasp, no need to control. They are simply present, soft and still. Finally, bring your attention to your neck and face. Relax your jaw, letting your teeth part slightly. Relax your lips, cheeks, and especially the area between your eyebrows, where we often frown when thinking. Let your forehead become as smooth as a mirror. Your eyes are half closed, feeling the gentle darkness covering your eyeballs. Your entire body has now become a unified mass of relaxation. You feel as light as a cloud, hovering in midair between the intersection of day and night. In this state of absolute relaxation, we begin to contemplate the meaning of stillness. Have you ever wondered why we always crave extreme cleanliness and perfection? We fear stains, fear tears, fear the smudges of life, but you know, it is in the cracks of an old ceramic vase that light can enter. It is from the tears on the canvas that the most brilliant flowers have the chance to bloom. Life is not a straight and smooth line. It is a painting full of overlapping brushstrokes with bright, vibrant patches and deep, somber shadows. When you accept that you have the right to be smudged, the right to be wrong, and the right to carry the scars of experience, that is when you find true freedom. That freedom does not come from possessing the most precious things, but from reconciling with the darkness within yourself. Just let your mind drift. Don't try to control your thoughts. If an image arises, just look at it and let it glide by like a leaf falling on a stream. You are entering a space where luxury does not lie in diamonds or silk, but in the serenity of the mind. A vast space where the scent of expensive perfume gradually fades, giving way to the scent of memory, the scent of time, and the scent of pure white lilies silently blooming in the dark. Your breath has now become very deep and very steady. Each time you exhale, you feel yourself going deeper into the land of dreams. That land has no judgment, no rivalry, only understanding and compassion. You are preparing to enter a story about a woman who spent her life keeping her hands clean, only to realize that the most magnificent beauty arises from exactly what she once considered dirty and ruined. Just lie there still, feel the warmth of the blankets and pillows surrounding you. You are protected. You are loved. Our journey has just begun, but you have completed the most important part, allowing yourself to rest. Let my voice lead you through the gates of the Grand Palais into a night of exhibition that is brilliant yet filled with reflection. Don't worry about anything. Everything is fine. You are gradually dissolving into the absolute silence of the black night. As you have completely relaxed and let your body sink deep into stillness. Let us visualize a scene that is brilliant yet extremely peaceful. We are standing before the giant steel and glass arched gates of the Grand Palais in Paris. Tonight, the city's air is not bustling in a noisy way, but carries a solemn, thick atmosphere of luxury. Imagine the scent of the most expensive perfumes, the lingering sandalwood, the mysterious black rose, and even the scent of brand new leather from designer handbags, all blending together, forming a hazy mist covering the grand hall. Do you hear anything? It is the murmur of elegant conversations, the faint clinking of crystal glasses filled with premium wine, and above all, the proud rhythmic tapping of high heels on the polished marble floor. Each click, clack echoes decisively, steadily, like the heartbeat of a prideful heart. In that space, Elara Vance appears as a perfect creation. Visualize her, a tall, slender figure draped in a jet black evening gown from the house of Chanel. The high-quality silk is so smooth it seems to glide over her skin like cool water. The light from the massive crystal chandeliers on the soaring ceiling pours down, reflecting off the diamonds on Elara's neck, creating tiny sparks, twinkling like stars fallen to earth. Elara walks, her jam-encrusted hands lightly clutching her clutch bag. Those hands are beautiful, ivory white, slender, and without a single blemish. They are the hands of someone who has never had to touch the roughness of life, hands sheltered in silk since birth. She glides through the crowd with a faint smile, a calm that borders on coldness. This world belongs to her, and she knows it well. Everything around Elara must be orderly, clean, and under control. The exhibition space is designed like an enchanting maze. The light does not illuminate the entire room but focuses solely on the artworks, creating deep shadows around them. As Elara walks through the rooms, she feels the movement of the air, a gentle electric charge of creativity and money intersecting, shiny metal sculptures, large abstract paintings with strong contrasting patches of color appear and then recede into the darkness with each of her steps. The marble floor beneath her feet is cool and solid. She loves this feeling, the feeling of order, where every speck of dust is banished, where beauty is displayed in an invisible glass cage of high society. She enters the modern sculpture gallery, where the scent of metal and fresh paint still lingers. Each of Elara's steps seems to measure the value of this space. She is not just looking at art, she is reviewing her own kingdom, but look closer at Elara's eyes. Behind that pride is something gently trembling. It is the sensitivity of a soul that once belonged to art, someone who understood the language of colors before she chose the language of numbers. She skims over the glossy works, searching for a resonance that she herself cannot name. Perhaps it is a connection, or perhaps an answer to the silent emptiness growing in her chest. Wordless music from distant musicians plays steadily, as soothing as a stream flowing through stone crevices. That melody lures Elara deeper into the heart of the Grand Palais, where the light begins to grow hazier, giving way to more self-reflective works. She finds herself gradually detaching from the noisy crowd, from her friend Chloe with her frivolous flattery. Elara wants to be alone with this space, where she can more clearly feel her own presence, a perfect Vance lady without a single scratch. The deeper she goes, the more the air seems to become quiet and warm. The lights shift from cold white to a gentle amber tone. This is the area for traditional oil paintings with a contemporary breath. Elara takes a deep breath, feeling the scent of turpentine and canvas beginning to waft through. It is an old but life-filled scent, a scent reminding her of a youth she had packed and tucked away in the drawer of memory. Inside this central hole, all sounds of the outside world seem to be completely neutralized. Only her heartbeat and the infinitesimal rustle of her silk skirt touching the floor remain. Elara halts before an entrance shielded by deep red velvet curtains. She feels an invisible urge, a premonition that behind those curtains, the perfect order of her life will encounter an earthquake. She raises her clean hands, gently parting the curtain, and enters a radiant space of rebirth from the tear. When the red velvet curtain closes behind her, Elara feels as if she has just stepped into another dimension. The light here is no longer brilliant and ostentatious, but condensed into a warm golden glow, like the light from a giant candle smoldering in the winter night. The crowd here is strangely silent. They stand there, elegant silhouettes motionless like statues, all eyes directed toward a single point at the end of the room. Elara slowly approaches. Each of her steps on the marble floor now sounds like the heartbeat in a tightening chest. And then she stands before the work. Old studio in the night. A cold shiver runs down Elara's spine. The large-scale oil painting appears so vivid and real that she feels she could step right into it. It does not paint glamour. It paints a worn-out, dilapidated studio with frayed wooden easels, palettes caked with thick layers of dried paint. Amber and dark brown tones create a nostalgic, melancholic, yet enchanting feeling. Amidst that dark space, a desk lamp casts a pale, warm light, illuminating a detail that causes Elara's breath to abruptly stall. In the center of the painting is a torn canvas. A brutal, decisive tear runs vertically from top to bottom, revealing the painful, frayed threads of fabric. But the magic lies in this. From that very wound, thousands of pure white lilies are surging. The artist used a masterful impasto technique, making the petals look as if they are actually growing out of the fabric, standing proud under the light. It was not a mending, it was a grand transformation, where pain turns into the most brilliant beauty. Elara trembles. Her hands, always clean, grip her handbag so tightly that her knuckles turn white. The memory of 10 years ago, something she thought buried under the dust of time and financial figures, suddenly bursts forth, rushing back like a violent flood. 10 years ago, at the Art Academy, Elara Vance was a completely different entity. She was beautiful, she was rich, and she was extremely afraid of getting dirty. While other students were obsessed with paint and smudged charcoal on their faces, Elara always appeared in silk dresses, her hands always in thin gloves if possible. She loved art, but she hated the mess. She hated the pungent smell of turpentine clinging to her hair, hated the paint stains sticking to her meticulously manicured cuticles. The fear of being stained made her brush strokes timid, forced, and lifeless. And then Sarah Jenkins appeared. Sarah was everything Elara was not. She came from a poor rural area, wearing frayed old sweaters and worn-out canvas shoes. But Sarah's eyes, those eyes glowed with a pure flame of passion. Sarah was not afraid of getting dirty. She threw herself into the canvases like a warrior into battle. Sarah's hands were always cracked and rough from being covered in paint. She could sit still in the cold studio for 12 hours straight, her face smudged with glaze, but her smile as bright as the sun. Sarah's presence was a silent insult to Elara's pride. Elara was jealous of Sarah's natural talent, jealous of how that poor girl could create masterpieces from the very mess Elara loathed. To hide her spiritual inferiority, Elara used the wealth and power of her family to isolate Sarah. She mocked Sarah's rural accent, turned her into a laughingstock for the socialite girls. But no matter what Elara did, Sarah kept painting in silence. The fire in that girl's eyes never went out. The climax of the cowardly envy happened on a rainy night before the day of submitting the graduation project. Elara knew Sarah had just left the studio to buy more art supplies. In a moment of madness, Elara slipped in. She stood before Sarah's beautiful landscape painting, a work containing all her hopes for a European scholarship. "You don't deserve this brilliance," Elara whispered in the dark. She picked up a palette knife from the table. One decisive stroke tore through the canvas. The sound of the fabric ripping sounded cold and cruel, just like Elara's heart at that moment. She looked at the ruined work, looked at Sarah's dreams lying shattered on the cold tiled floor, and felt a morbid satisfaction. When Sarah returned, Elara stood hidden behind the door. She witnessed Sarah collapse, her thin hands clutching the tear as if clutching a loved one who had just passed away. Sarah did not cry, she just trembled under the cold rain. After that night, Elara threw away all her brushes, switched to studying finance, telling herself she left because art was too inferior. She fled into the world of clean numbers where there was no smell of turpentine, no mess, and, she hoped, no guilt. For 10 years, Elara had become a queen in the financial world. Her hands were still clean, still white, still pampered, but standing before this old studio in the night, she realized she had lost miserably. The tear in this painting was the very tear she had created years ago, but Sarah did not fall. Sarah used the very wound Elara caused as a springboard for a creative breakthrough. The technique of lilies rising from the tear was the most arrogant, most noble response to the person who had intentionally ruined her. Sarah had turned destruction into rebirth. Elara felt her chest tightening. She looked at her clean hands under the exhibition lights and suddenly saw them as truly empty, truly impoverished. She had money, she had power, but she had never truly lived with the fire of passion like Sarah. She kept herself too clean, and so her soul became grey and barren. The golden light of the painting seemed to swirl deep into Elara's soul. Each white petal on the canvas was like a slap to her delusional pride. Sarah Jenkins, the poor girl of years ago, had now become a renowned professor, a symbol of resilience and talent, and Elara, she was just a spectator, someone who owned everything but created nothing with a soul. The feeling of regret did not come loudly. It seeped in, creeping through the cracks of pride. Elara stood there amidst the luxury of the Grand Palais, but she felt lonelier than ever. Sarah's success did not need an apology, because Sarah had turned pain into glory long ago. Elara closed her eyes lightly. In the darkness of her mind, she saw the old studio 10 years ago again, saw the silhouette of a small girl diligently at the easel, her hands smudged with color, but her face radiant with light. She realized that the mess she once loathed was the price of true life, of true creativity. Everything around began to blur in Elara's eyes. The murmurs of the socialite guests, the scent of expensive perfume, the twinkling lights, all became meaningless. Only she and the painting remained, only she and the tear that had bloomed. A silent humiliation enveloped her, a painful insight about having lost herself in the effort to keep her hands all too clean. The feeling of dizziness still lingered in every breath Elara took as she detached herself from old studio in the night. The space around her now seemed to be transforming. The brilliant LED lights of the Grand Palais no longer made her feel proud of her luxury. Instead, they became harsh, as if shining on the emptiness inside the expensive Chanel gown. She saw Julian, the renowned art curator, with his meticulously groomed silver hair. He was the center of a group of aristocrats who were nodding in approval at every word he spoke. Elara took a deep breath, trying to force her trembling hands into their habitual state of stillness. She approached, the smile on her lips adjusted to the right level, elegant enough but also distant enough. "Hello, Julian," she said, her voice steady. "The painting in the central hall, it truly makes one reflect. I am curious about the person who created it." Julian turned, his face brightening when he saw the Vance heiress. "Oh, Miss Elara, you truly have an eye for art. That is a masterpiece by Sarah Jenkins. She is not just a painter, she is a living legend of the contemporary era." Julian's words were like hammer blows to Elara's mind. He began to talk incessantly, and every word was like a slow-motion film of the glory Elara had never touched. Julian talked about how Sarah had won the top scholarship after a tragic but inspiring incident with her graduation piece, the Verite. He talked about her years of study in Rome, how she sold out million-dollar collections at Sotheby's, and her becoming the youngest female professor at the Royal Academy of Fine Arts. "She is not just wealthy because of her talent, miss." Julian lowered his voice with reverence. "She possesses a life that anyone would envy. Her husband is Arthur, the great architect. They have penthouses overlooking the Seine, massive personal libraries, but above all, she has freedom. She paints because she loves beauty, not because of the pressure of numbers." Elara stood there, feeling like a ghost gradually fading in someone else's aura. The contrast was stark. Elara had money through inheritance and dry balance sheets. Sarah had money through sweat, smudges of paint, and resilience from the ruin that Elara herself had caused. "Is Sarah Jenkins here tonight?" Elara asked, a part of her longing to face her, a part terrified of being recognized. She just left to prepare for her flight to London to open her scholarship fund for poor children. Julian replied with regret. "Sarah is always busy building the world. She no longer has time for long parties." That truth dealt a fatal blow to Elara's self-esteem. Sarah was not even here for her to say an apology or show patronage. Sarah had gone too far, flown too high. In Sarah's world, Elara Vance was perhaps just a faint dust mote of the past, a narrow-minded person who had accidentally helped her find her own path through a fateful tear. Around Elara, the laughter began to fade. The aristocratic faces became blurry like smudged streaks of color on a canvas. she felt a weary exhaustion invade her mind. The intersection between a guilty past and a humiliating present made it impossible for her to stand a minute longer in this hall, reeking of perfume and hypocrisy. Elara bowed her head slightly to Julian and turned to walk away. She did not head toward the red carpet where the limousine was waiting, but toward the doors leading to the windy balcony. She needed the cold of the night to soothe the burning heat of the surging shame. She wanted to vanish into the darkness, to shed this perfect but heavy shell. Each beat of the Louboutins on the stone floor no longer sounded proud, but sounded like the hiccups of a soul exhausted from trying to keep itself too clean in a world that fundamentally needs smudges for beauty to germinate. The heavy glass doors closed, separating Elara from the classical music and the frivolous flattery inside the hall. She stepped out onto the stone balcony of the Grand Palais. A sudden night wind rushed in, brutal and icy, showing no regard for her expensive Chanel gown or her meticulously styled hair. Elara shivered, but she did not turn back. She needed this cold to feel that she was still truly existing after having just vanished in the all too brilliant aura of Sarah Jenkins. Below, Paris at night appeared like an artificial galaxy. The twinkling electric lights trailed one after another to the horizon, reflecting off the Seine like wet oil paint on a giant canvas. This city was beautiful, magnificent, and perfect, just like the shell Elara had painstakingly built for her life over the past 10 years. Elara looked down at her hands under the pale moonlight, ivory white hands, smooth with a glossy nude nail polish. She had kept them so clean. She had stayed away from all smudges, all the pungent scents of the studio, all the charcoal dust sticking to cuticles. She had chosen the path of numbers, of glass boardrooms without a speck of dust. She owned a massive fortune, the power to run great investment funds. But why, looking at those clean hands, did she only see an utter emptiness? Sarah Jenkins' success was not a revenge of violence, but a revenge of beauty and compassion. Sarah did not need any apology from Elara. She was too busy being brilliant, too busy creating masterpieces. For Sarah, the tear Elara created years ago was just a painful beginning leading to a glorious end. Elara laughed softly, a bitter, self-mocking laugh that dissolved into the wind. It turned out that the true failure was the person who kept her hands too clean because of the fear of being dirty. She gave up her passion. Because of pride, she chose to flee into the safe cocoon of money. And now, standing amidst luxurious silk, her soul was poorer and grayer than anyone's. She realized that the true beauty of life does not lie in blemishless integrity, but in the ability to revive strongly from ruins, like the pure white lilies blooming from the tear on Sarah's canvas. Elara's breath gradually slowed, harmonizing with the breath of the black night. The silent humiliation earlier now gradually transformed into a letting go. She no longer wanted to strain to hold on to that fake perfection. She let the night wind blow away the worries. Let the darkness cover the late pride. A strange sense of relief invaded her, the relief of someone who had just accepted being wrong, and that the smudges of life are exactly what create the value of a human being. Now, let the image of Elara on the balcony fade in your mind. Feel the space around you also becoming as quiet and gentle as that Paris night. The distant lights recede, the rustling wind grows smaller, leaving only absolute silence to comfort you. You are lying in the embrace of merciful darkness, where all mistakes are forgiven, all wounds can bloom. Let your mind drift as freely as the peaceful sand under the bridge. No more rivalry, no more envy, only the relaxation spreading throughout your body. You feel weightless, dissolving into the space, dissolving into the deepest and most peaceful sleep. Tonight, you are allowed to rest. Tonight, you are allowed to let go of everything. Thank you for listening to the story Where the Tear Blooms. If this journey has helped you find peace, remember to return to interact with the channel, leave a heart, or share your thoughts when you wake up. Wish you a very good sleep and brilliant dreams. Good night.